Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second night of racing, and in this, the 30th season of TGP2. We're in Europe for a double header at Portugal and Spain, two very contrasting circuits that will prove a great challenge for the drivers. And if you thought last season was going to be a hard one to top, 12 winners, 13 fastest lap setters, and 6 men going into the final night, all with a chance at the championship, well, it looks like we could be on for something just as equally strong this time round. Just 2 points separates the top 5 in the championship, with more big names further down the order, all trying to get involved in the fight too. Welcome then to TGB2. We're in the final minutes of qualifying here. It's currently Wheelnut on pole position, just narrowly ahead of pass at the two Ferraris, second and third with Cannon, who won here, of course, or almost won here last season, fourth at the moment. Chris Johnson is our championship leader down 12th and won here last season because Magic Poop Cannon got a unfortunate drive-through penalty for speeding onto the safety car. He had an easy 20-second lead, but the safety car bunched the field up, and when Poop Cannon had to pit to serve his drive-through, he finished much further down the field. But I'm joined by Daniel Fawcett, 64-time TGB1 race winner. Could have been 65, but we'll get to that later. Dan, welcome. What are you looking forward to about tonight?
Well, I'm looking forward to the fact that we think it's possibly going to be a wet start to this race. There is a chance of rain, and they're being told that it could be an intermediate start. So could we have one of those wet to dry races, which would certainly throw everything up in the air. And of course would be the second wet race in a row after that dramatic race in Imola last week.
Yeah, what a night it could be. Rain-affected Imola race last week proved a real treat, with Wet Lemons coming through on the final lap, taking the win at the final couple of corners to snatch his 6th career victory in TGB2. Can he add to that tally tonight? He's currently third quickest. He's currently on a lap and he's finding time. He cleared Theo pretty easily in the first sector. He found a couple of tenths, I think, and he's now 500ths up in the middle sector, but he needs to find more time. He needs 3 tenths to find if he's going to get himself right at the front as a spinner on an outlap. But can Lemons put himself onto pole position? He's had 2 poles from 2 so far this season. The Ferrari man is really excelling when it comes to qualifying. He has 7 overall. Can he make that 8 here today? The shortest run to the line, and Lemons crosses the line to go second, and look how tight it is. 500ths the difference between the top 3, Dan.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? And Wheelnut invalidated on this current lap that he's on, and so did Theo Hickman as well. Theo Hickman having to go again as well. So he won, of course, in Bahrain. He won the first race of the season as a McLaren off there at turn 3. It's one of the, I think that might be Kaya. And of course, Kaya had an amazing result last time in Imola as well. And I believe he's actually ahead of Magic Poupcan in the championship at the moment.
Yeah, it's really tight, isn't it? 5 drivers covered by 2 points at the top of the Drivers' Championship. And it's Chris Johnson, who's never won a title before, that currently sits at the top of that. What's the word for 5 people? As Lemon spins off in front of Theo. A great view there for the Williams man. Will that put him off? This could be his final lap in the session. Needs to see who won the opening round of the season, the reigning champion, trying to defend his crown. The pressure's on because he's currently 6th at the moment, down on the 3rd row of the grid. And keep an eye on Meir Quemby, currently 14th and 2 seconds adrift, but a 2-time former champion, and currently in front of Theo Hickman. Theo Hickman may actually get a tow from the McLaren if he's careful here. Meir Quemby may not want to give him that. It looks like Theo may get a bit of an advantage here. Can he find the 5 tenths he needs to go on to pole position here with just a minute and a half of this session remaining? Theo to the line, the Williams driver. Can he take pole? He goes 4th, only onto the 2nd row of the grid though.
And Poupcan is only improving by a 10th as well, so Poupcan might only be able to match Hickman's time. I don't really think they're going to be able to trouble any of the top 3. Look at Blake Gills as well going into 4th place. Brilliant lap by him. And Wheelnut is about half a tenth off as he comes through the middle sector as well. So we've got both the Mercedes coming through here to complete the lap times. And we'll see if Poupcan can at least get himself ahead of Hickman and ahead of Blake Gills, maybe. Yeah, we could. We'll have to go.
Williams come the race day, but of course, as you said, Dan, it could start off with intermediate tyres, which means there's someone else out there.
To we have. Lap as well. Yeah, Jacko was starts his lap at the very, very end of the session. See where he goes.
Oh!
He goes to 2nd place. Wow.
Well, I'm glad you spotted that, Dan, because we almost missed the pole position time. Jacko, 13 thousandths off the pace of Wheelnut. Wheelnut takes pole here in Portugal, unless I'm missing someone else, but it's going to be Jacko 2nd, Lemons 3rd, and Parser 4th. 500ths of a second is the difference between the front 4 here in Portugal. What a qualifying session it's been. Wow, what a lap from Wheelnut.
Yeah, brilliant stuff by Wheelnut. Is that Wheelnut's first pole position? He's really looking quick this season. But Jacko coming in at the very end of the session with a great lap to get on the front row and ahead of the likes of Wet Lemons, who of course is doing so well at the moment in the championship. Jacko on 19 points. He's the first of the sort of back mark, I suppose you could say, as Jacko is in second place then. Both the Ferraris on the second row. Decent qualifying for them, but I think they would not have expected that late lap from Jacko.
Yeah, what a lap time it was from Jacko. Left it to the very end to go second. He'll be gutted to have missed out on pole position here in Portugal. He's had some really good pace here this time last season. Can he take the win this time around? And indeed it is. That is Wheelnut's first pole position in TGP2, so he joins that ever-growing list of pole sitters. Camababo, hard to believe, the pace he has also never had a pole in TGP2, so let's see if he can get one later on in the season. But the Alpine driver's struggling so far this season. Many thought he was the pre-season favourite, but once again, a disappointing qualifying session, has his 9th only going into the race. In fact, Camo Babo is currently on a lap.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we might have that glitch where the time, because he joined the lobby late, didn't he? So
so qualifying may not be over then. There may still be one more driver.
Well,
I mean, it would be a controversial one. He's on an out lap.
Yeah, I mean, I think he joined, 5 or 6 minutes into the session. There's something on the game now, isn't he, where if a late person joins the lobby, they get the full 18 minutes of qualifying. I think that's what is going on at the moment with Camababo. I don't know whether somebody will tell him to retire or he's going to go and set a lap. I think he's going to set a lap.
Well, take us through a lap then. This Portugal circuit down the man.
Well, this feels like a highly illegal lap time, but he's going for it. Into the first couple of corners, you have to fully risk it through there, head into turn 3, and then the first bit of proper uphill section on the track. Careful to not lose the car as Baz's AI is driving around here. And in fact, he's going to have a few AIs to overtake here now. Into turn 6, Chris Johnson is going to get in his way as well. Oh, and he's going to go into the back of Chris Johnson, and I think he's going to back off the lap now.
Yeah, so of course, one of the very few glitches you get with Codemasters games is that because Cambabo joined the session late, his time only started, the 18 minutes started when he joined 5 minutes after everyone else, so he will still have seen he had 3 minutes left on the clock, which is why he was still going round setting lap times while everyone else is AI. But I think he's realised that now, because his qualifying comes to an end. He does not improve then on his current P9 position. And Mick Schumacher, what a lap from Wheelnut. His first pole in TGP2, and what a place to get it. Portugal.
But anyway, it's certainly going to be a dry tyre start.
Here we go then. The Portuguese Grand Prix in TGP2. The 5 lights will come on and then we'll be racing for the 3rd time this season. Lights on and lights off here in Portugal. It's a very good start from Jacko. Is he going to get through on Wheelnut already? He's very slimy, in fact. Now the Ferraris might both pounce on him, and indeed he is. A shocking getaway there for Jacko, despite getting the initial getaway. And the 2 Ferraris already attacking Poop Cannon. Sorry, Wheelnut for the lead of this race. Wheelnut, though, for now, crucially stays in front, and looks like there's a spinner in the background, one of the Alpines and one of the Aston Martins.
Jacko went for it on Parsa, and I think he might have picked up a bit of damage because he hit the side of him, and his Blake Hills overtakes him, and Cena overtakes him. Cena's made up 5 positions, and Cena's going for 4th place now. He's going to pass Blake Hills as well. What a start by Cena, flying through the field. Jacko falling down the field. I think he has got damage.
Yeah, it does seem like it, doesn't it? Not the start that Jacko needed in this race. Wet Lemons continuing to attack Wheelnut so much quicker in these early stages. But look at this, M-Shep now all over the back of Jacko, who himself now has Mr. John and Mackie fighting for 9th and 10th. Jacko must have damage now, Alfa Romeo, because he's gone from 2nd straight down to 7th, despite, as I said, getting an initial very good getaway. And through goes M-Shep round the outside on Jacko to take the position. And Jacko now can't do anything about it. Now he's under attack from Mr. John behind him. And Mr. John may make easy work of that round the outside of the Alfa Romeo driver, if he can, which becomes the inside for the next corner. And Mr. John up into P8, and Jacko, I suspect, will be in for new tyres.
Yeah, surely he will be. Hickman's not had a great start either. He's down in 11th place, although, he hits the back of Indecisive there, who had to slow down because of Jacko struggling with damage. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still Wheelnut who's got a lead, 4/10 of Wet Lemons, as Mick Schumacher picks up a penalty, as they're all even single file at the moment up towards the front, but Wet Lemons closing in on Wheelnut. Will he have a go for the position down into turn 6? Wheelnut goes very wide, the exit of 4 there. I don't think he's going to be able to go for it just yet.
Yeah, it's very close. There's plenty of battles throughout the field, trying to pick one battle to go with. Lemons keeping within 4/10 of Wheelnut at the moment. We've got Blair Grills and Poop Cannon all over the back of Cena, and of course Theo Hitman working his way up through the field after a very poor start. Both Chris Johnson and Jacko and Chris Johnson, of course, both in the title fight last season. And Chris Johnson, our current championship leader, already into the pits after the opening lap, so not what they needed early on in this race.
Yes, I wondered if he may have got mixed in with the Camo Babo spinning then, was he possibly played the part in that, as Mick Schumacher has spun at turn 8, but he continues on. So Chris Johnson then and Jacko both put on the medium tyres now, and presumably will try to go to the end of the race on them, unless of course we do get rain, as Wet Lemons is getting closer and closer to Wheelnut here. DRS enabled on the next lap.
It's looking pretty good for Lemons, isn't it? He may not need the DRS, maybe able to get him here on the end of the second lap. The Ferrari driver looking so much quicker, so much more confident than the man in front of him, and this could be a very easy move into turn 1. Wheelnut will try to use as much of his errs as he can left, but Lemons up the inside takes the position from Wheelnut into the lead of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Simply lovely from the Ferrari man, and now he'll look to try and pull a gap ahead of Wheelnut.
Yeah, fantastic move, but I'm just wondering, will Wheelnut get the DRS now? He will, so he might be able to come straight back at him. He might have an opportunity before Wet Lemon tries to pull away, but no, he doesn't decide to risk it into that corner, probably sensibly so, as further behind. I think Hickman just made the position on Mr. John for 8th place as well, so he's having to fight his way back through the field as Shepherd picks up a penalty.
Yeah, so Hitman working his way back through the field. Of course, 8th place is 7 points here. We run the Jose point system. Cena running very wide in position number 4. Blair Grills getting very close to the back of the AlphaTauri. Can Blair find himself back inside the top 4? Dropped a place a lap ago, but now all over the back of Cena once more, and Poop Cannon just waiting patiently for his chance to try and get through on the pair of them, and indeed it is the soft tyres for Poop Cannon despite... Oh, there's a Ferrari off, and it's Parser. Parser spun round. I didn't see what happened, but that was P3 now gone. The Ferrari man is now down in 9th position. Another place gained for Theo Hitman, and Parser, I don't know if you saw it, Dan, but just seemed to lose the car in the middle sector.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it, but he was gaining on Wheelnut as well, so that's gave Wheelnut a bit of breathing space. As Blake Grills is right on Cena now, and is surely going to get him for what would now be a 3rd place for Blake Grills, who is doing very well in this race because he won in Saudi Arabia, didn't he, towards the end of last season. And is Poop Cannon going to try and get Cena as well? Not this time round, but Cena also now picks up a penalty. But Poop Cannon is surely going to be on Cena very, very quickly. Just wondering if Cena might be able to get a run, if he can get a good exit out this corner. No, I don't think he'll be able to go for Blair Grills here. It'd be a risky attempt to go for a move, and he does not go for it. Yeah,
just too far back, I think, for Cena to try and get through there on the Alpha Aston Martin. Looks like a McLaren has gone off in the background. Yeah, Kaya may have had a spin.
Kaya and Marco, I think they collided into the first corner. But they both got away with it and both going again.
Lucky escape then for both drivers. We've got Theo Hitman making strong progress again through this field as Cena tries to get back through on Blair Grills. We've got the Williams, the reigning champion, Theo Hitman now all over the back at M-Shep. M-Shep doing really well in P6 at the moment, a position we're not used to seeing, maybe in the old days, but not in recent times. And can the Williams man get through and make his great progress again through the field? A very poor lap 1 it was after not a great qualifying for the Williams man. The reigning champion starting to struggle in the last couple of rounds, but appearing to be getting back into form at the right time now as Poop Cannon all over the back of Cena as well, trying to get through into P4, who himself will be trying to push Blair Grills to get that podium place. But Poop Cannon, look how much quicker the Mercedes man is, up the inside, simply as you like, and through into P4. I don't think he's going to get Blair Grills, but he's getting very close to maybe the next DRS. He goes wide though, off the circuit, and allows Cena to get back through, not quite.
Well, Cena nearly lost it as well on the inside of the corner, and I think that's what helped Poop Cannon stay ahead there. Well, Cena would have gone straight back through, but you might go back through right now as Poop Cannon closes DRS very early there. I'm not sure why he did that, because it's just let Cena back through. Although now he runs wide, and is Poop Cannon going to take back the position? They might be side by side all the way through to turn 8, and that's an incredibly difficult corner when you go through there by yourself.
Cena's round, not when he needed the AlphaTauri in the gravel. They had a great battle, which then turned into slight contact, which was enough to spin round the AlphaTauri, and he's now down to P9. Both him and Parser, great mates, have now found themselves further down the field because of their spins, and once again Theo Hitman has gained another position. He's ahead of M-Shep on the road, and also now an extra place gained thanks to the spin of Cena. How did you see the spin there from Poop Cannon and Cena, Dan?
I think Poop Cannon had that. I think Poop Cannon had that position really, and Cena should have maybe just backed off and tried to go again later in the lap. But yeah, I think probably 60-40 Cena's fault on that one. I hate to say it, he is the fan favourite, but
He
He's
is.
now down to 9th place. Although, is he going to pit? Yeah, he is going to pit. I thought he was going to go and try to go back past Mr. John, but instead decides to get rid of those tyres after that spin.
Meyer Quemby in an Alpine sandwich here, 9th, 10th and 11th. Two-time former champion Owen. He had great battles in the past with Camo Babo, who's now behind him. These two in a lower position than they would have expected or maybe even hoped here at Portugal. But can they both clear indecisive Mackie, who does appear to be holding these two up? And Camo Babo, look how much racier he is. A poor qualifying for the Englishman, but now all over the back of Meyer Quemby. And if he can get through here, it'll be a tough ask, though, with Meyer Quemby also getting the DRS from Mackie, getting very close to the back of the Alpine, but for now settling in P10.
So Cena has come out of the pit lane ahead of Jacko, just about, and Chris Johnson, who's a little bit further back. Chris Johnson doesn't seem to really have a great deal of pace around here at the moment, but Jacko just behind Cena after that spin. Of course, Jacko pitted on lap 1 and is going to have to get those medium tyres to the end of the race.
So this is actually Owen's first ever laps around this circuit, so I think he's just gradually getting used to it. Having not done it in TGB1 last season, or in fact played this game at all in recent weeks, Owen, who only got this game a couple of months ago, is still just getting used to the circuit and getting back into the rhythm of things. So I suspect he will be much quicker as this race progresses, and maybe even a threat for the podium places come the next race in Spain. But can Owen this time get Mackie? Well, Mackie makes it easy for him, pulls into the pits, and through he goes.
He's doing well, Meyer Quimby, considering these are his first laps. He's doing a solid job at the moment in 8th place. If Sheffield gets another penalty, he's coming under real threat now from Parser, who's recovering after that spin early on. As still these guys not decided to pit towards the front then. As Meyer Quimby going side by side with Camo Babo at the moment. Camo Babo, of course, done so well last week, just gets the position back there from Owen.
Well, unfortunately, Dan, Camo Babo is under breach regulation 47.5 of TGB2 for not wearing a helmet. He's not wearing a helmet, Dan, and I'm sure the stewards, well, there you go, 5-second time penalty for Camo Babo for not wearing a helmet, and that's a penalty that Camo Babo's going to have to serve in the pit stop. So maybe next time, Dan, he may remember to wear his helmet.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was late to qualifying, wasn't he? So maybe he forgot to pick up his helmet along the way, and he's gonna save the punishment for that. As Owen will, I'm sure, be stuck behind at the moment, and he will be very happy to see that. As Wet Lemons comes in the pit lane and Wheelnuts for the top two, both in. Blair Girls continues on.
Theo Hitman also into the pits. Let's see how the stops go for these boys. Chris Johnson's just passed Kaya up into 16th place. Kaya and Jacko. Chris and Jacko really struggling here today with their early incidents in this race. Lemons, it's a clean pit stop. He remains ahead of the Mercedes man. Wheelnut, but it's going to be close. And what kind of traffic will these boys come out? And it looks like they'll be actually being clean air. The car in front of them is going to be Bazza, and he's miles up the road.
Yeah, it's worked out very nicely for them, hasn't it? There's a big gap of fresh air as Wet Lemons get out ahead and Wheelnuts. And then here comes Hickman, but is Poop Cannon going to be ahead of Hickman? I think he is indeed going to retain that position. As Bazza gets a penalty, he's still yet to pit.
Yeah, Poop Cannon just ahead of Theo Hitman. Theo Hitman almost doing the job there on Poop Cannon despite pitting a little later. We've got Cena and Mick Schumacher battling for P11 and P12. These two giants of TGB2. Of course, Cena, the fan favourite, racing the one and only Mick Schumacher here at Portugal. Looks like Cena's got the edge into P11. Not sure if any more battles going on at the track at the moment. Looks like these two might be the only ones fighting for position.
Yeah, it's quite quiet at the moment, but just watching Owen, who's still gaining on Mr. John. I think Mr. John's struggling quite a bit at the moment. He's nearly lost the car a couple of corners ago, and it looks like he's really struggling with the rears. Surely he's going to be pitting this lap, and you would imagine really the top 5 who are still yet to pit will be in this lap or next lap. Blake Hills does indeed come in at this stage. Shepard decides to continue. He's got those 2 penalties, and Owen makes a very late call to come in as well.
Yeah, very late, wasn't it? I almost thought he was going to get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It was that late. Mr. John then stays out to take P2 in this race. Bazza staying out as well. The top 3 yet to make their slots. Blair Grills leaves the garage, and already Lemons is through, as goes Wheelnut. But is he going to be ahead of those further behind? The Mercedes of Poop Cannon and Theo Hitman are coming down the field. And look at that, Blair Grills stays ahead of Poop Cannon, but it's going to be very close. And if Poop Cannon can get a great run here, he may even get him into the next corner. Up the inside, the Mercedes man goes. Are they going to make contact? They're not. Poop Cannon with a great move to take the position straight back from Blair, but Blair's still there. They're still side by side. They almost bang wheels. Poop Cannon has to run off to almost avoid the contact, and now the two of them continue their battle down into the second sector. It looks like Blair Girls might just have the edge. The Poop Cannon tries to run a bit wide. They make contact, and this is going to allow Theo Hickman to get through on both of them. Is it? Not quite.
Poop Cannon almost had a repeat moment there with Cena going through turn 7 as they head into turn 8, which you have to be so careful on those new tyres, Blake Grills. He nearly loses the car, but so does Poop Cannon. And Hickman is just watching this boat, and he's just watching them and going, well, you guys are going to battle, I'll just catch up, and he'll be right on them on the next lap as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting coming down the straight because, of course, Blair Girls will not get the advantage of DRS from anyone in front, but Poop Cannon and Theo will both take it, so they'll both be on the Aston Martin man as they come round to complete their 10th lap of the race. It's going to be Mshep who leads for yet another lap. He stays out, but Mr. John and Bazza both find now the time to come into the pits, and a new fastest lap for Lemons. He's really starting to take charge of this championship battle. Not leading the championship at the moment, but looks like he could well be our favourite, really excelling at the moment. And in fact, 3-second time penalty could cost him the win if Wheelnut's close enough at the end of this race.
Ooh, it's 3.2 seconds at the minute, so it's close. As Poop Cannon got close to Blake Grills there, but couldn't go for the move. Wonder if he's going to have another go once again. Down into turn 5, he can have a good run through turn 4. Oh, he had to let off the throttle slightly there, but that allowed Hickman to catch up slightly. As I tell you what, Blake Grills has 50% ERS, and Poop Cannon and Hickman under 10% mainly for the main part. So Blake Grills manages ERS a lot better, and that I would imagine is going to help him quite a bit. Poop Cannon nearly hits the yellow curve there through turn 7. You don't want to be doing that. And he picks up a penalty as well, 3-second penalty.
Well, Poop Cannon then picks up a penalty in this race. They're all stacking up, and it's so crucial come the end of the race because Theo Hickman will now jump Poop Cannon pretty certain, unless he falls back 3 seconds or himself gets a penalty. Calababo is into the top 10. He's past Mr. John. Looked like it was a pretty easy one. Mr. John not put on much of a fight, and Lemons is about to retake the lead because in comes Mshep, and there's a yellow flag further back.
Bazza,
is that it's Bazza?
Yeah, Bazza.
Okay. Not what Bazza needed.
Yeah, as Shep then comes into the pit lane. Should say, by the way, May Quimby, who was having a decent race, he actually had to change his front wing when he pitted. So that's put him down the order, now down into 14th. As here comes Poop Cannon on Blake Grills into turn 1. Is this going to be the moment for him? Oh, he's very late on the brakes, and that means Blake Grills goes back around the outside, and here comes Hickman as well.
All three of them fighting for what is the final podium space here in Portugal. Oh, there's a roadblock. There's a roadblock. There's a roadblock, and here comes Parser. Parser through on 2 of them, and now he needs to get Poop Cannon to take the podium from all 3. There was a roadblock there at turn 3 here in Portugal, and Theo Hickman will be wanting to get back through as soon as he can. Needs to be careful and not to spin the Ferrari. There's a McLaren spinning in the first set. It looks like it may well be Maya Quemby. Not the race he wanted, but wow, they just came to a stop, Dan.
Yeah, well, I think Poop Cannon tried to go for it on Blake Grills and then lost the car. Blake Grills saved it and then lost it later in the corner. And Blake Grills has actually lost out the most of all. He's down to 8th place now.
And Bazza spun, I think, for a second time on this lap, so not what he needs. He's having a disastrous race. No points at the moment, but look at this 3 cars scrapping away for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Blair Grill's now down to 7th, ahead of Cena for now. Looks like those 2 are also scrapping for position, but we're sticking with this battle for 3rd. Does Poop Cannon have damage on that Mercedes, potentially from spinning round Blair Grills? It's very close, and Parser looks like he's so much more confident than Poop Cannon at the moment.
So, well, Parser, I'd say Hickman's closer to Parser right now than what Parser is to Poop Cannon, but he'll be about to engage the DRS at this moment in time. Poop Cannon has no real defence. So Parser, who is catching up and is going to overtake and is going to get into 3rd place then for the time being. Poop Cannon has that penalty as well. Surely Poop Cannon is going to try that move again. He knows what happened last lap. And, he clouts the curb again, but so does Theo Hickman. And Poop Cannon is almost losing the car through turn 4 as well. Parser has got quite a bit more ERS, and I think it's going to be enough to allow him to pull away slightly, and you can't make an impact Poop Cannon into turn 5. Hickman's still right behind him.
Well then, let's try and catch our breath back. Still 5.5 laps to go in this race. Wet Lemons seeming to have it in the bag. 4 seconds clear of Wheelnut, who himself is 10 seconds clear of this trio who are fighting aggressively for the final spot on the podium. Looks like Parser may just have it because Poop Cannon potentially carrying some sort of light damage now. Not quite able to match the pace of Parser, but we do know Poop Cannon, we've seen it before, he does seem to struggle when there's a car right behind him. When there's a car in front of him, he can set the laps and start to chase them down, but when it's suddenly him that's under pressure, he seems to get to him. And look at this, another 3-car trio now for P6, 7 and 8. It's Blair Grills, Cena and Mshep.
Yeah, so Blair Grills in an AlphaTauri sandwich at the moment, but Shepard does have a couple of penalties as well, doesn't he? Poop Cannon still has that penalty as well, and Parser pulled away massively at the end of that sector. I think he used all his ERS up there on the exit of the turn 13, and Hickman is going to be right on Poop Cannon now. Oh, he is going to go for it.
Oh, what a
wow.
move! Theo Hickman, turn 1 up the inside of Poop Cannon, and the Williams man, the reigning champion, into 4th place here at Portugal. What a move it was, and further back the two AlphaTauris are scrapping for 6th, 7th and 8th with Blair Grills. Looks like Blair Grills has got the edge of both of them for now, and M-Shep is behind his teammate. Maybe not made it too easy for him, but Chris Johnson now back into the points, P12, but has a time penalty and could fall out later on in the race.
So Welt Evans still has that 3-second penalty, of course, but he is pulling away from Wheelnut. It's 5 seconds now, the gap. So it's looking good for Wet Lemons at the moment, despite having that time penalty. Parset is 1.4 seconds ahead of Hickman now, but now that Hickman's cleared Poop Cannon, I just wondered if he might be able to put some pressure on Parset in the closing stages.
This will be Mr. John's 483rd race in TGP2. The race to 500 is on. Myself, 497. Joe Sayer, 486, and now Mr. John 483, and with myself not here this season and Joe away for all of this week, Mr. John could well be the first one to hit 500 races. He's an all-timer now, Dan. 500 races, not too shabby, eh?
No, not too shabby at all, and I think he's picked up quite a few driver of the days during that time as well, hasn't he, Mr. John?
He certainly has.
He seems to like to do qualifying, try and get driver of the day, but at the moment, I'm not sure who's going to get it at the moment, but I have to say, I've been very impressed by Shepard's performance in this race. As you say, he's showing really good pace, and he's catching back up to Cena here. And is he going to go for the position? Cena gaining on Blair Grills. Might be Cena going for Blair Grills here. Can't make the move, but these guys are gaining on Poop Cannon as well.
Yeah,
I wonder if Blair Grills might try and get some revenge on Poop Cannon after what happened a few laps ago.
Does look like it, doesn't it? Poop Cannon probably has some sort of damage there. Nemershev spun round. No, from PA. It was looking so well for the AlphaTauri man. And I thought for a moment he was going to try and pass his teammate again. I think he let him through a couple laps ago because he knew he was the slower driver. But then it turned out he wasn't. He was suddenly much quicker and he spun again. The AlphaTauri man wants a second bite.
So it's indecisive as well, just behind him.
Oh no, we got drivers lawn mowing on the grass here at Portugal. We don't need any grass cutting, boys. I know, and Quenby takes 2 places in one corner. Let's see if M-Shep's got going again. He has. He's back going. So into P13 he is. And look at that. A nice bunch of time penalties from 10th downwards. Mr. John might be safe in 10th despite his own time penalty.
Poop Cannon massively going to the right of the track there to defend, but that just makes it even easier for Blair Grills, really. He will have the better line going into turn 1, and he's already easily made the move to go into 5th place then, and is back ahead of Poop Cannon. Cena now catching up, just seeing if they both got 3 seconds. Yes, they have, so it will be a legitimate battle between Poop Cannon and Cena, as Poop Cannon again through turn 4, almost losing the car, and it's going to allow Cena to close in even further.
Yeah, we've also got a scrap for P8 and P9, Jacko and Camababo. Camababo, despite making a pit stop, still is not wearing a helmet on his head, and that will be infuriating the driver stewards in the stewards box at the moment, because Camababo dangerously racing around without a helmet, but he's chasing down Jacko, so maybe it gives him an advantage. Maybe. Oh, what's happened?
Side by side.
Fighting for 6th and 7th. Round the outside goes Cena. He takes the place. Brilliant racing from those two. Great spot, Dan. And Cena now ahead of the Mercedes man into P6. And Poop Cannon has to settle for 7th. And now he's going to try and hold off the two behind of Jacko and Camababo, who themselves are fighting for 8th and 9th and could very well allow Poop Cannon to keep that 7th place because of the scrap. And there's a spinner further back. Looks like it might be Maki again. It is the 14th place man holding on to the final points position, but Mick Schumacher will be chasing him down with that late spin for Mackie. But here comes Camabaro, the gap coming down and down. It's now just 2 tenths. Poop Cannon's also scrapping away with Cena further up the road. We need picture in picture here. Looks like Poop Cannon's got ahead of Cena, but can Camabaro get ahead of Jacko? He's too far back, so let's quickly go back to Cena and Poop Cannon, who is side by side going into turn 2. Who's going to come out top of this one? The AlphaTauri man holding his line takes the place back again, and Cena now back into 6th, but is Poop Cannon going to come straight back at him with the DRS once again in play? He's running out of time to get through on the AlphaTauri man, but if he is indeed holding damage, he may be better off just settling for P7 and trying to keep clear of the two behind, Jacko and Camababa, who are fighting very goodly for 8th and 9th.
Brilliant battle between Cena and Poop Cannon then, but as you say, these guys both have penalties, both have 3-second penalties, and Jacko is 3.6 seconds behind, but of course is having to try and fend off Camo Babo, and Jacko's tyres are 13 laps old at this stage, pisted on lap 1, Camo Babo 7 laps old, and Poop Cannon is back ahead of Cena now, so those guys are still battling.
Brilliant stuff. It looked like Poop Cannon...
Oh, Camo Babo's lost it!
Oh no, he spun round, the Alpine man fighting with Jacko. I just cut to Poop Cannon, and as I do that, of course, the Alpine man spins himself round. That battle is over. He will not be getting any higher than ninth now at the moment. And Jacko now has a real chance to try and hunt down the gap he needs to get Cena and Poop Cannon ahead of him. He just needs to be 3 seconds behind Poop to gain 2 places. The gap currently 3.5 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on that. But these two are scrapping away for 6th and 7th. It's not going to help either of their chances as they try to get one ahead of each other, because of course both these drivers have time penalties, so whoever's ahead of who will get the point position. And Pucana goes a bit wide, a bit rusty through that corner. This will allow Cena to get a better line into the next section, and with DRS in play, surely the AlphaTauri man is going to find it easy up the inside. The AlphaTauri man, Cena through into P6. Is he going to hold it this time though? Because we've seen Pucana come straight back at him, gets a better line. He has again. He gets that corner so well, does the Mercedes man, and the two of them continue their fight into the next section of corners. Who's going to come on top of this one? Looks like it is going to be Cena, but Buchanan comes straight back up the inside. The Mercedes man, they almost made contact. In fact, they may well have just have. But this now allows Jacko to get within 3 seconds ahead. Fantastic racing.
And Hickman got very, very close to Parser as well at the start of that lap, but could not make the move. Looks like Parser will stick in 3rd place as Wet Lemons wins the race, crosses the line to take another victory this season. He wins in Portimao.
It looks like Cena and Pucana are going to continue their fight for the last couple of corners. Who's going to come out on top in this one? This has been an excellent battle all race. And now Cena will try to get clear into the final couple of corners. Wheel Naught got second. Parser got the final podium space in 3rd. But Cena should hang on to 5th here, I think, ahead of Pucana. But what about Jacko, who's just passed Blair Grills, I think. And Jacko jumps up to 5th because of it. Blair Grills ran out of fuel. He's been reading the Dan the Man handbook on how not to race in TGP. He runs out of fuel and drops to 9th. Chris Johnson just 0.2 of a second away from a top 10, which Mr. John got in the end. And the battle's still going on. M-Shep's fighting away. Looks like he will get 13th in this race. And Mackie will get the final point unless Mick Schumacher can get him. They're running out of time. If he's going to make the pass here, just a couple of corners to go. Has Mackie got damage on that Alpine? Rebel Kim, a race to forget for him. The Danish Viking down in 18th position. No points scored for anyone outside the top 14. It looks like 14th is going to go to Mackie. Mick Schumacher not quite close enough to take that position.
What a fantastic race then. So they were all close on pace in qualifying, and a fantastic race that we have just seen. Parser just about hold on to that 3rd place, and driver of the day goes to the guy who hadn't even done a lap around this track a few hours ago.
Well, it's definitely deserved, I have to say. Mayor Cranby getting back into the points after starting from the very back of the grid after a disastrous qualifying session for the McLaren man. But it's Wet Lemons who takes his 2nd win on the bounce. That's 2 from 3. And he, I suspect, is our new championship leader. What a drive it was from the Ferrari man. And both Ferrari drivers are on the podium, so I think they'll be very happy with their result here. They go to the top of both championships at this early stage of the season. But what a race. Dan the Man, who was your driver of the day? It's hard to look past Lemons, but Owen did get in a lot of places too.
Yeah, Owen done very, very well. I think Jacko, considering having to get to the end of the race on lap 1 tyres in 5th place, that's a decent result for him. Although obviously helped a lot by seeing him kind of battle on the last lap. Such a shame for Blair Grills as well. He looks set for a good result after running out of fuel. But Parser in 3rd place, and don't forget, he had that spin, didn't he, very early on. So I wonder if he maybe could have fought for the victory if it wasn't for that spin. Instead, he comes home in 3rd place, just managed to hold off Hickman on the last lap.
Well, Bazza brought an end to the run of pole positions, the fastest laps from Lemons, but he doesn't get the point because he was outside the top 14. But it does take the point away from Lemons, which could, of course, come in crucial towards the end of the season. Bazza looking to win both championships this season, but he's not got off to the best start, and finishing 16th there and down, I mean, is Bazza's chances already looking pretty tough, because Lemons is in some imperious form at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, isn't it? But I suppose Bazza, I suppose you can say, the one thing you can say is that they do have a bit of consistency at Alfa Romeo in terms of they are stuck together once again this season. There's been obviously quite a few driver changes, but those guys have remained together. I think they just missed out on the constructors, didn't they, last season?
They did.
Romeo. And might want to try and go for that again. Turned into a bit of a damage limitation race in the end after what happened on the 1st lap. And we'll be hoping for better here in the 2nd race of the night at Spain.
So, the Spanish Grand Prix. Not one of my favourites, Dan. I don't know what your opinion of it, but it's not the best for overtaking, but it has produced a lot of great races in TGP, that's for sure. And of course, with safety cars and rain and all that kind of unpredictability, anything can be expected. But in Spain, our previous winners here at this circuit, only 3. In fact, only one of them on the current grid, because both Michael Kenny and Mike Nuna are away tonight, which means Poupcan is the only driver in this field to have won the Spanish Grand Prix before. But it's not been the best start for Poupcan. Of course, champion of 2 seasons ago, hasn't quite had the form that he's had in the last couple of seasons, and Poupcan already starting to struggle this season. A bit further down in the championship, I suspect Lemons, our new championship leader, will be looking to make it 3 wins from 4, and if he does, it's going to be hard to look past the Fryman taking a first title.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looked so strong, hasn't he, so far this season. As just waiting then for the guys to pit select, and we can get underway then with this Spain session. But yeah, this track, well, we do tend to get good races still here in TGP2. I think last season you collided, didn't you, with Chris Johnson? Which I suppose you could say that. And it was at the very end of the season, wasn't it? That might have cost you the championship, actually, just thinking about it now. That moment with Chris Johnson last season, towards the end of the season here at Spain, but it's in a more traditional place in the calendar this time round. Early on, round 4 of the championship, and we have a dry qualifying, and it looks like the McLaren is going to be the first out on track, and it is the McLaren of Kaya.
Indeed it is then. The McLaren Ram will be first around this circuit. Of course, this circuit has produced many great races. I think it is going to be a dry qualifying throughout, and I believe the race will also... Oh, hello.
We have an 80% chance of a wet race, I believe. So, once again, we didn't end up getting the rain in Portimao despite it being predicted, but 80% chance of a wet race for this one. So, looking far more likely. And, well, that will throw a spanner into the works. And I can't remember the last time there was a wet race in TGP around Spain. It's going to be tricky for them, but it looks like that's where we're heading.
Well then, looks like we are guaranteed some rain. The rain clouds have moved over. They didn't appear in Portugal, but they've definitely turned up in Spain, just a few miles down the road. And let's see then what this race has in store. Theo Hitman used to be one that really struggled in the wet, but has seemed to have found some performance in recent times. But this circuit then, as I said, not one of my favourites. A lot of drivers don't necessarily like to watch it, but they do like to race it. Dan, that third sector, what do you make of it?
Well, it's not fun, is it? I mean, the final chicane is not pleasant. There's, so many years I've been driving this track, and I can never, ever, ever get that final chicane correct. I would love it if you just went back to how it used to be, with the flat out 2 right-handers. I don't see why we can't have it like that, because there's a very similar final corner in Portimao that we've just been at, which doesn't have the chicane at the end of the lap, but we have one here. It said the advert as well to help improve overtaking. Not sure if it did the job too much, but anyway, that's what these guys are going to have to deal with. And of course, it'd be even trickier if we do get the promised rain, as all the drivers are, well, we've got 15 drivers out on track at the moment. Wet Lemons, Mr. John, and Hickman still in the pit lane. Hickman just coming out now, and it's only Sheffield who's on the medium tyres. Everybody else is out on the softs.
Well then, let's see what these drivers can do. Blair Grills, who took his first ever league victory in TGP2 last season at Saudi Arabia, looking to get more consistent results this season, looking to defend his Constructors' Championship alongside Chris Johnson this season at Aston Martin, but also looking to try and push for the Drivers' Championship as well himself. Only 9th though in Portugal, not the result he wanted, but we did see him fighting for the podium throughout the first half of the race. We've got a spinner further back in the middle sector, and it's Emshep already out of this qualifying session. Not what he needed here in Spain, as Jacko goes quickest with a 1:17.7, the first major time on the board, and it is appearing to be a quick one. Let's see what the rest of the field can now do. We've got one of the hazards coming through the final corner to the line. They're not improving on their current lap time, so maybe they invalidated it. Let's see what Cena can do. He goes second with 11 seconds off the pace, but Blair Grills looking quick at the moment. Quick enough only per second at the moment, though. A passer round the final corner. What can he do? The Ferrari man trying to get ahead of Jacko's time. What's Owen done? He's out. Owen's out. Another casualty.
Session. Yeah, they both crashed at turn 9, going flat out through turn 9. I would imagine they tried to go flat out, or as flat out as possible. And sometimes you can get on that curve and it'll just spin you into the wall. Oh, and Mick Schumacher's done the same thing. That's 3 cars who've done the same thing at that corner now. Look at this carnage at turn 9. Cars all over the place, debris all over the place, and Baz has just spun.
He's lost his front wing, he has.
And has no front wing.
Oh, yeah. There is the Has of just parked in the middle of the road. And the AlphaTauri man almost managed to get through there. So carnage then at the start of this qualifying session, Dan. We've got 3 cars out already in the opening 5 minutes. And who's going to be next to crash out?
I don't know, but this is in the dry as well, don't forget. But, yeah, so they're all struggling through that turn 9. As Wheelnut coming through this. They got a tyre in the middle of the track. I don't know if Wheelnut's on a lap or not, but if he is, he might have got a nice toe. Just watching Blair Grills now. Blair Grills is coming into the pit lane. A lot of the drivers coming into the pit lane now to the first laps completed. Or at least the drivers who didn't manage to throw it into the barrier. Hickman has invalidated this lap. I imagine he's going to come in as well. Is that another driver out? It's Kyan, isn't it? Kyan out, but I think he's retired in the pit lane.
Yeah, and let's see if Wheelnut can improve. Unfortunately for him, he obviously ended up doing a 2-lap run, which meant he closed up the gap on Mackie, so he stays P6. No improvement from the Mercedes man. Let's see who else is out there at the moment. And Theo Hickman, where can he go? He stays 10th. Would have been a 1:20.2, but looks like he did invalidate his lap time, so does not find a lap on the board in the opening part of this qualifying. But the best thing about this is all the drivers will go out on the soft tyres and push every lap. No drivers trying to strategically go for the mediums to see what they can do for the race, because we are expecting a full wet race, which makes it very interesting. The drivers can set their best possible laps on the quickest tyres, and so far it's Jacko and Camberbo 1-2 after 6 minutes here in Spain qualifying.
There's 2 tyres just lying on the track at the exit of turn 9. I don't know if the drivers can see that, but even if you were to go through it wouldn't have any effect. To just go through it as Wet Lemons. He's on his out lap at the moment. Everybody else seems to be in the pits or on an in lap. Wet Lemons waited a while before coming out on the track, and it looks like he is about to set his first lap of the session. See him backing off there, and a good exit around the final corner, and off he goes. And of course took both the pole positions last week, and had his record broken by Wheelnut in the previous quali session. And thankfully for him, those guys coming out the pit lane will slow down, and he can have a clear run through the first couple of corners.
Theo Hickman to the line, new quickest time, 1:17.3. He finds 4/10 on Jacko, a new benchmark that is set in this qualifying session as we close down the final minutes. Now 11 to go in the session. It's Jacko in second now behind Theo, with Camo and Blair on the second row. The two brothers, of course, Pastor and Chris Johnson, 5th and 6th. Chris looking for a better qualifying than he's had in recent races. Very much a man for the races, not quite there when it comes to qualifying. Wheelnut 7th at the moment, and Mackie 8th. But only 9 drivers have had lap times in this session. 4 further are out altogether. But let's go now with, some would say, the greatest personality in the history of TGP. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Cena. Cena, currently, I'm joking, Kim. It's you, Kim. Rebel Kim, currently yet set a lap time in this session, P16, and now comes into the pits. The Hasman, of course, a stalemate of this series, a real gentleman on and off the track. Always expect great battles when it comes with Rebel Kim, and he's making sure he doesn't speed in the pit lane by entering at a very slow pace.
So Wet Lemons completes his first lap, and only good enough for 5th place, for 1:18.0, just ahead of his teammate Parser, who is just starting his second lap. Further ahead of him, he's got Jacko, who's also starting a lap. And Hickman is coming back into the pit lane, so I wonder if he might have had a bit of a moment on his out lap and has had to come into the pits. See what Jacko's first sector is this time around. He's a 10th up, 21.8. I think Hickman's was 21.9 on his pole lap, so looking good so far for Jacko. He's got Bazza just ahead of him. Oh, Jacko's lost it!
Boom!
Oh.
Boom!
Gets away with it though, does not destroy the car, and I imagine he might have been setting something up there for a possible tow, maybe down there the straight after turn 9. But that's not going to be happening now, and Jacko is lucky to still be in the session.
Yeah, it did seem like that the Alfa Romeo boys were planning a tow either on the back straight or in the middle sector, most likely. Jacko getting very close there to Bazza. Both drivers left the pits at the same time, but it was all for nothing because Jacko spun round. He remained second, 4 tenths behind Theo, but he should still have time to get back to the garage and go again for 1 or possibly 2 more runs. So now we look at Calababo, currently third at the moment, 2 tenths adrift of Jacko, who's second at the moment on the front row. What can Camo do? Still not running a helmet tonight. You can see his face and his balaclava, not great. And Bad Grills is out now.
Massive crash of Blair Grills just because flicking through the drivers and cut across that. Absolutely massive crash. And that one was at turn 8 as well. So that's it, not the famous turn 9 where they're all losing it. Blair Grills does it a corner earlier. So it's really strange. A lot of the drivers struggling at the moment.
Yeah. Calababo goes quickest, just clear of Theo Hitman. It's very close, isn't it? The gap is just 600ths of a second, and there is Theo Hitman now leaving the pits. No longer is the quickest, but now the second, and Parser went third, so the Ferrari man found some pace too. He's still improving on this lap, I think, so maybe he's doing a 2-lap run here. The Ferrari man, in fact, no, now he's back down, so he will not be improving. He gets out of the way of Red Bull Kim, who is now preparing to start his next time lap in this session. If Red Bull Kim can get any kind of lap time on the board, he goes 13th.
Chris Johnson almost losing it. Blair Grills just lost it as well, and he's just invalidated his lap. So Chris Johnson in 8th place right now. Then we almost down in 9th in the pit lane. Pole tips the last time out. Poop Cannon in 10th. Just wonder if Poop Cannon on a lap right now. I don't think he is. No, I don't think he's pushing at the moment. Poop Cannon. He is also going to come back to the pit lane then. So we've got 7.5 minutes to go in the session. We've got 5 cars out at the moment, and only 12 laps on the board.
Wow, so it's been a very tricky qualifying then for the drivers, a very unstable track by the seams of things. It just seems to be that the drivers have no confidence around these corners, or if they do, the car just goes, the back end slips out, and into the barriers they go, and that's, as you say, 5 drivers out of qualifying. There's still 7 minutes to go in this session, and you're right, Poop Cannon was not on the lap. He returns to the pits for 1 final run. So who is up there on laps at the moment? Well, not Bazza, he's invalidated.
Starting a lap now.
Let's go with Theo Hitman then.
Yeah, early on in the lap, Theo Hickman will want to take back that pole from Kamababo, who's just gone into pole ahead of him, although it is very close. Let's see what his first sector is. 21.8, so a 10.5 up, so that's looking good so far for Hickman. Purple sector 1 for sure, as coming into the second sector now, and obviously he's approaching the part of the track where we've all been losing it, as to come through into turn 8 and turn 9. Let's see what Theo Hickman can do. Can he have a good run through there, flip the curve through there, and let's see if he goes flat out in turn 9. He now lets off, understandably, although we get through the corner, and we'll engage the DRS now, and is he going to be quick? He's lost a little bit of time, 10th up, bit wide through that corner there into turn 10, coming towards the end of the lap now. Don't want to take too much of that curve unless you go spinning, and he did not do that. Good exit through there, and now just get through this very tricky chicane. The car ahead shouldn't bother him too much. Nice run through there, doesn't clout the curbs too much. Get a good exit out the final corner, a solid final sector certainly for Theo Hickman. Can he get back to the top? Yes, he can on a 1:17.168.
Kababa looking for his first ever pole in TGP2. It's snatched away for now. Theo, the new quickest, with a benchmark of a 1:17.1. But also out there improving is the Ferrari of Wet Lemons. He's found a 10th in the first sector. Let's see what he can do in the middle part of the track. The Ferrari man, who's won 2 races from the first 3 rounds, is looking very strong this season. Are we going to see him finally take his first championship? He's 2 tenths up. He still needs to find much more though if he's to take pole, because he's 8 tenths adrift at the moment of the boys up top. He's not going to get pole, I don't think, unless he absolutely destroys this last final sector. But of course, Wet Lemons, who's been around in TGB since 2012, formerly as HD Gaming XD PS3. Remember that, Dan? Well, Wet Lemons is now back under a new alias. Is that the right word, alias? And here he comes round the final corner.
I think so.
Can Lemons take pole position? Aylis, that's the one. And he goes 4th, 3 tenths adrift still. The pace of Theo Hickman.
There's no separating the Ferrari drivers, is there? So close, so evenly matched on pace. And Parsley's just ahead now for the time being, but he is about to set another lap, and Wheelnut goes into second place. So he's finally starting to show his pace now and goes into second. Buchanan, for some reason, is on an out lap on the medium tyres. So I'm not sure what that's all about. We've got an 80% chance of rain.
Well, that's
so I'm not sure the reason behind that will be is Wheelnut goes for a spin, but gets away with it.
Yeah, so with a third of the drivers out then of qualifying. Out. Literally out. And oh, is that going to be another one? Passer into the wall. He's lost it. He was P4 looking to find more time. And the Ferrari man's got to be careful when reversing. Otherwise, he's going to lose a rear tyre and be the 7th casualty from this race. And was that someone else ahead? No, I mean, Passer's trying to get out of the way of everyone now. Rejoining at a bad time with all the cars. I was going to say the track's quite clean for other drivers. But Passer seems to have found himself in a position to get out of the way of other cars, and that's not what he needs. Passer now back to the pits, and I'm not sure if he's got time to set another lap. Can't quite see how long's left in the session. We're seeing yellow flags at the moment in the second sector because of that spin, and you can see tyres still parked at the side of the track. But Wheelnut then will return to the pits. Theo Hitman is in the pits. Calababa is going back out. There's 3.5 minutes to go in this session, so still time for improvements.
Wondering then if Pucan he's the 10th off at the moment, but he's coming towards the final couple of corners and he's on the medium tyres, so I don't know if I can't really
what an idiot
what the reason behind this is, to be honest. Yeah, but we'll see if he improves his lap time, and of course if it is a dry start he'll start at the mediums. Maybe he's waiting for the rain to come later in the race or something, and he actually improved. So at the moment, if it's a dry start, Pucan will start on the medium tyres as Jacko goes on to pole position on 117.123.
Wow, I keep missing Jacko every time. It's always Jacko the one I miss. Passer trying to get back to the pits as quickly as he can. He might still have time for one more run in this session. Wet Lemons is in the pits waiting for the right moment to leave himself. But if he leaves now, that's going to cause Passer to have to queue for a little longer to try and get back into the pits. But Jacko is set at 117.123, the quickest time of anyone so far. Jacko, the man when it comes to qualifying, needs to try and keep that consistent pace in the races if he's to really push for a championship. So many times last season we saw Jacko spin round, and in the end he was only about 15 points off the lead of the championship, what could have been for the Alfa Romeo man. But he's currently quickest here in Spain, looking very good at the moment. And if Mr. John can set a lap, he would start very high up, but maybe Mr. John wants to start at the back, keep out of any possible trouble having a lap. And oh, the Red Bull driver almost lost the back end there and became almost the 8th casualty from this session.
Yeah, so Passer decides to retire from the session, probably not thinking he can get back out on track. Cena also out of the session. He did get into 7th place, but he is now out. And Camo Babo improved into 4th. I don't know if he's got the fuel to go for another lap. He might be on another lap right now, actually, as he deploys the DRS down here. Let's just see what he does in the second sector. 1,000th down, so I think Camo Babo is going for the second one. In fact, it says he's gone purple in the second sector, so he's certainly finding time on another second lap, second run, immediately after setting a previous run, as he goes through the final sector, and he's takes a lot of speed through there. And I tell you what, Camo Babo, oh, he's invalidates the very end of the lap and decides to dive into the pit lane. He got track extended on the penultimate corner, and that's such a shame, because I tell you what, he could have got himself in there, in the front row.
Well, Kaya is very excited for the race that's to come. He says he can't wait to see what happens in this race. Jamie Mubata, remember him? He tells Jacko to pick up the pace and try and win this race. And Corey Dalton says Jamie Mubata is alive. Yes, he very well is alive. Jamie Mubata, of course, has the unwanted record of finishing second the most number of times in the TGP2 Championship without ever winning the championship. But let's see who can improve then. Theo Hitman has currently invalidated his final lap in this session. He's not going to improve.
A lot of the drivers are backing off now. Oh, but in fact, yeah, Hitman actually hitting. We're not starting this lap. I think Baz is about to complete a lap, and he's going a lot quicker than what he was previously, so he's going to shoot up the order here. We'll see where he goes through the final corner, and this, of course, will bump Pupkan now to the top 10. He goes into 9th place then, so not as much improvement as I thought, actually, there from Baza, but anyway, up into 9th.
Well, Chris Johnson, he's 11 podiums behind Jose in the all-time list of podiums in TGP2. What can he do here in qualifying? Currently P10 at the moment, not where he wants to be. If he can find another couple of places, maybe a couple of tenths, he will be up in 8th place ahead of his teammate. I don't think he's going to get inside the top 7. Not sure he's going to find 6 tenths in this final sector. He's found a bit of time, but not much. The Aston Martin man looking to try and get himself a little higher up in this grid, but very slidey, and that's the end of his lap. He starts no higher than P10. Not what he needed, Dan.
The Wheelnut's the one to watch. He's a 10th up, and he's just gone purple in the second sector. This is for pole position. Absolutely Jacko, who I thought was going to back on off going for another lap at the very end, but he's actually out of fuel. Oh, he nearly loses the car. Wheelnut, he's on the ragged edge. He's giving it everything. He doesn't track extend through the final corner. Is this going to be the lap that takes the pole away from Jacko? It is.
Wow, he's never had a pole in TGP2 before tonight, but now he's got 2 on the bounce. Jacko's not going to improve. It's down to Bazza, unless Bazza can find something wonderful, which he won't because he's backing off.
No.
That's it, qualifying done, and Wilnot, who had never had a pole before tonight, takes 2 on the bounce. What a run it is for the Mercedes man, but this time, can he convert it to the race victory? Because Wet Lemons, championship leader, the favourite, is only 6th here in qualifying behind his teammate Parson. Not what he needed. So Jacko will be very happy to be second still, but once again misses out by the finest of margins, missed out by 200ths in Portugal, misses out by 400ths in Spain, and Theo also keeping it very close, just 800ths adrift of Wilnot's time. A very close top 3 here, but it's Wilnot crucially on pole position.
Another fantastic session then. Wilnot coming at the very end there to take the pole, steal it from Jacko. I wonder if maybe Jacko might wish he had another lap of fuel in the car there. He's having to go so slow and make sure cars wouldn't, make sure not to get in the way of other cars as he was getting back into the pit lane. I did see him going really slow, but I thought, as I say, he was just trying to get across the line as late as possible. But he had actually run out of fuel, and he'll be gutted to have missed out on the pole at the very end. But once again, we have, just like in Portimao, the top 3 are separated by less than a tenth.
Indeed they are. What a qualifying session it was. Very dramatic, very exciting. Many drivers not getting a lap on the board. It was that chaotic. But the drivers, look at that. Kaya, Owen, Mr. John, Emshat and Mick Schumacher all failed to get a lap time on the board. But damn the man, here is a fun fact for you. You yourself have won once in TGP2 before, but can you remember at which circuit?
I think I can. Well, I think, was it Hungary?
It was indeed Hungary. I thought that was going to be harder. You got it straight away. I'm going to need to come up with some better facts next time. Yeah, 1-time winner in TGP2 at Hungary. Do you remember anything about it other than you won
it? Not really. I think I got the game, whatever year that was, I got it late. And I came in to do TGP2 one night, I think. Or a couple of weeks, maybe. And that was the Hungary one was the race that I won. But yeah, it's funny the things you remember, I suppose. But these guys, it looks like it's going to be an inter start. Will they have to switch to wets later on? We'll find out. But it's looking like an inter start for at least Poop Cannon, because I can see his tyres.
Well, the clouds have gathered here at Spain. It's all up in the air. Who's going to be the race victor in about 25 minutes' time? The 5 lights come on in Spain. It's lights on, lights off, and away we go. And can Wilnot keep pole position down into turn 1? Look at the Alpine of Wilnot trying to get through. Sorry, Blair Grylls on Jacko once again. Jacko loses the place off the line. There's a McLaren going very wide. Further back, looks like it might be Kyle. There's a Ferrari diving up to the inside of turn 1. And he gets Theo. Theo having a shocking start. The reigning champion down to 5th already. The two Ferraris getting very racy here on the opening lap. But it looks like a clean start for everyone. Mick Schumacher has had a bit of a spin, in fact, now at the end of the second corner. But look at that. A great start for Lemons already now. Up the inside of Jacko trying to get P3 from the Englishman. And he's done it. What a start it is for Lemons. 3 places gained already. I'm already on the first lap.
Yeah, clean start for everyone, aside from Cena, who went spinning and has gotten right to the very back, and then Mick Schumacher went off in sympathy with Cena, who of course made a great start in Portimao. This time is at the very back of the field. Oh, it's Hickman is going to go try and go around the outside of Jacko through turn 7 here, and he's got to go through the gravel slightly, but gets away with it, and Parser just behind him now and could not overtake. So Jacko under a lot of pressure early on, as Hickman now is going to go for the position into turn 10. Is he going to get him?
Yeah, these are getting very racy. Also, McLaren and Alfa Romeo of Bazza getting racy behind. Owen and Bazza fighting as Jacko fights Theo Hitman. And here comes the Ferrari of Parser trying to get through on Theo Hitman. They make contact. And Theo's round. Maybe Theo feels like that Parser closed the door there. But either way, Theo now at the back of the field. Not what he needed in this race. Down in 15th. And look at that. Not what he needed at all, Daniel Fawcett.
Not good at all for his championship once again. As you mentioned, of course, he struggles in the wets. And, well, he certainly had a really good start in this one. And he has been involved in instances drops to the back of the field, as just like what happened in Imola as well. I think he had an instance that caught an instant and dropped down in the wet as well. He will not be happy about that. And Wet Lemons, of course, is famously so good in the wet weather, is gaining on the top 2 as Parser gets ahead of Jacko. Now Jacko down to 5th place, and Chris Johnson is now on the very back of him as well.
Yeah, and Baz is all over the back of Chris Johnson. It's all to play for here from fourth downwards. Past a bit of a train now forming. Jacko just doesn't seem to have the confidence in the race that he has in qualifying. Why is that? But Wheelnut, crucially, needs to start to pull clear of Calababo because Lemons, we know his race pace is so strong. And here comes Bazza up the inside of Chris Johnson, getting very close here. The two Alfa Romeos and Aston Martin fighting aggressively for 5th, 6th and 7th. Who's going to come out top in this one? They're getting very close, but Bazza takes 6th. Ahead of Chris and spins round. The Alfa Romeo man is spun.
Round as well.
Oh no, we got two cars spinning off. Blair Grills and Bazza, not what either driver needed really. Bazza still trying to recover, but that's not what both of them wanted. And Chris Johnson will have loved to have seen that as Lemons now, crucially, into P2 already. Calababa could do nothing. Lemons through into P2.
And Jacko very wide at turn 10, but goes on the run off and gets away with it. But just wondering then if anyone has damage after that, because he all sort of jammed up into each other and there was a bit of contact. I think it was Blake Hills got sent into a spin. I'm not sure who hits him, and I'm not sure if any of them have damage as a result of it. But quite a strange moment there, as Chris Johnson almost loses the car going through the penultimate corner, and it allows Jacko to pull away slightly.
M-Shep's all over Poopcan. M-Shep's found some real pace this season, hasn't he? He's come alive. Now fighting the former champion in Poopcan. And as we see further up, Jacko just about holding off Chris Johnson for P5, looking to try and get a rhythm into this race after a very shaky first few laps for the Alfa Romeo man. But Wheelnut's gap to Wet Lemons is already coming down. It's down to 7/10, and this could very easily be a third consecutive win for Lemons. And there's a yellow flag in the final sector. Kai's had a spin down, I think.
Yeah, it's Kaya. Kaya's gone off, and I think he's get on his way again as Blake Gill's in the pit lane for a new front wing. Unsurprisingly so. So Blake Gill's dropping right to the back then, and he is going to need a safety car to have any chance of a decent result now in this race.
Well, I hope Wet Lemons is free on Tuesdays, because I get the feeling he's going to be in DGB1 next season. He's 3/10 behind Wheelnut. That gap is coming down and down. This is where he passed Camababo this time round, last lap, and look how much more confident the Ferrari man is trying to get through, almost pushing Wheelnut through the corners here. Wheelnut, for now, holds on to the lead, but for how long? Because Wet Lemons is so much more quicker, so much more confident. The grip just seems to be there for the Ferrari man. He's pushing Wheelnut, pushing him on. I think Wheelnut was hoping it would be a dry race. He knows he has the pace here in the dry, but not necessarily in the wet. And these two now a second clear. Cababa, who will try to stick within as Wheelnut gets very slidey, loses the back end, and that's going to allow Wet Lemons to go round the outside, is it? But not quite. He had to back out, or he may well have gone off into the gravel, but he may still get the Mercedes man down into the first turn, because here comes the Ferrari of Lemons trying to get through on Daniel P. Wheelnut for the lead of this race into turn 1 as they start the fourth lap. It is Wheelnut who for now holds off, but Calvabo joining this fight, and these two need to be so careful through this section of corners because it's so easy to spin round and lose the back end. And look at Calvabo now all over the back of Wet Lemons, who himself is still not letting Wheelnut have any sort of breath up here in the lead of this race. Chris Johnson's passed Owen for P6 further down, but we've got to stick with this, the battle for the lead. Wet Lemons pushing Wheelnut, and even behind him, Calvabo looking to get involved in the fight. The top three separated by just 7/10 in this race. This is brilliant, Dan.
Extremely good defensive driving by Daniel Peel Wheelnut in the first sector there. Considering that he dropped it at the final corner, he done very, very well to hold on to first, but it might not be for much longer, because if Wet Lemons gets a good run through turn 9, will he go for it into turn 10? Oh, I think as he enables the ERS, he's going to have a run on him, is he? No, Wheelnut actually pulling away slightly. It would be way too much of a risk for Wet Lemons to send one up the inside there. And Wheelnut, amazingly, looks like he's going to finish this lap still in the lead, unless he has another moment through the final chicane.
Well, this is crucial for the race, because I think as soon as Wet Lemons gets through, he pulls clear, and he suddenly has a 5-second lead in 5 laps' time. So Wheelnut needs to keep Lemons back for as long as he can, but this is where he was so twitchy last time round. What's it going to be this time for Wheelnut? Can he get a better exit down to the start-finish straight as they start now the 5th lap of this race? Not the best getaway there for Lemons, and that may put him under some sort of pressure from Camababo further behind, but he's not going to be close enough, I think, to attack Daniel P. Wheelnut. Daniel P. Wheelnut looking for only his 2nd win in the league. Wet Lemons looking for his 8th, having claimed his 7th last time out in Portugal, and Cambabo's still there.
Jacko and Quimby Jacko nearly doing a Schumacher there, forcing him against the wall, but Jacko stays ahead just about, but he made that very difficult for Owen, and Owen could not get the position in the end. Jacko stays in 5th place, and he was having a battle with Chris Johnson a lap ago, Owen, but he's managed to come back out ahead for the time being. Jacko running slightly wide there, and will that give Owen a chance? I don't think it will.
So many scraps throughout the field. We got Owen just 2 tenths behind. Jacko going side by side. The top three covered by just over 1 second between all three of them. We've got more battles even further back. Emshet, Poopcan and Chris Johnson also close again. In fact, there's a massive train behind Jacko. About 5 or 6 cars all within 5 tenths of the car in front. But here comes another chance. Can Wet Lemons get through? And Will not this time round. He'll look for the inside, but that means Will not have to move over to Fane, which puts him out of place for the next couple of corners. He'll try and park ahead. He spins it almost. And that allows Lemons to go through into the lead of the race. Unfortunate for the Mercedes man. But unless he can get straight back through into turn 1, I think Wet Lemons may well pull clear now.
Well, I'm glad that.
Oh, Jacko spun! Jacko spun round! And he's clipped Chris Johnson. That's going to clip Buchanan as well. That's not what he needed. Not what any of those drivers behind needed. Jacko was so close to everyone that when he spun, everyone behind was in a position. Is that going to give us a safety car? Because Kaya out of this race.
Yeah, he's retired in the pit lane, Kaya, so I don't think it will. But I'm glad we almost didn't fully spin there because he didn't deserve that because his defensive driving was fantastic until that moment. So he stayed in second. He's going to have to defend from Camo Babo in a moment then. But I wonder if who was it that he clipped? Was it Chris Johnson? So I wonder if Chris Johnson might have some damage. After that moment there with Jacko.
So Jacko, despite picking up a little bit of damage, seems to want to stay out. So maybe the drivers are expecting the weather to slightly change. Maybe they can see drier clouds coming or maybe heavier clouds. Maybe they think there's going to be a change in the weather here as through goes Cena on Emshet. Maybe Emshet let him through. That seemed a little too easy to me. But now Mr. John trying to get through on both AlphaTauris. This man working his way up through the field. On the inside he goes. And into the top 10 goes Mr. John ahead of Emshet, who's now got Mackie all over the back of him.
To get the impression that Jacko is struggling. Look at that now, 3.9 seconds to Kukan in 7th place. So is he struggling? Oh, he's just very deep. He's in the gravel, and Cena is going to go. Oh, Jacko nearly comes on the track and spins across the track into Cena. But he's going to get the position now, surely, on the exit of turn 9. It's going to be a drag race. It's any touch. Oh, my goodness me. Well, they're going to have a crash down the straight there, like what happened with Pukan in Bahrain.
Well, great friends are, as Emshet goes for a sympathy spin. Great friends, Jacko and Cena getting very bumpy there down the back straight, just about keeping clear. But look at that, as I said, Wet Lemon's already 2 seconds clear, despite being just 1 lap ahead on the road. So much quicker than anyone else, it seems, in these conditions. And look at this, Mr. John now fighting Cena, who Jacko has all over the back of him. These two still scrapping, and indeed the Red Bull decides to pit. Is that Mr. John making a change maybe for different tyres, or maybe he does himself have damage? But here comes Cena down the start finish straight. Looks like he's going to get Jacko this time round. The two of them getting very close. They're almost banging wheels, and they're great friends off the track, but doesn't seem like the case on the track because Cena and Jacko getting very aggressive with one another, and now Cena goes a little wide there, which has allowed the Alpine of Indecisive Mackie to maybe get the pair of them round the outside if he's got better grip, better traction, but not quite able to. And now here comes Bazza. Bazza might get all 4 of them if he's quick. Up the inside of Jacko, he takes at least 3 of them, and if he can get Cena too, surely not. That would be some section of corners for Bazza, who spins it round. And it was all for nothing. It was all for nothing for Bazza.
And that's put Jacko off, and he's lost the position to Mackie as well. And
look at
Theo. Get him as well. Oh, he's got him. Yeah, he's got him, and Jacko nearly lost there. So Jacko down in 11th place now. What a horrendous couple of corners for Alfa Romeo that was.
Wow, it's hard to pick a battle because everywhere something's happening, and Wheelnut now managed to keep the gap to 1.8 to Lemon, so maybe Wheelnut made a mistake on the last lap. But Theo Hitman working his way up through the field. The defending champion have a very struggling start to this season despite winning the opening round. Now he's going to try and get Mackie for P9, but the Williams man just doesn't have the confidence at the moment, doesn't have the speed to get through. He finished P4 in Portugal, looking to try and get a better result, maybe a podium here, but I think it's too much of an ask already. Cena, who's 8th ahead of these two, is 12 seconds adrift of Poop Cannon, who's in 7th. So unless there's a safety car or a sudden clear up of weather or more rain, I think Theo Hitman's looking very poor here as Cena's diving into the pits.
Pitting. Yeah, so Cena, as he got damage then, he's going to change tyres. Jacko also is coming in. So we'll see if he put another fresh set of Inters on. I imagine he will. Is Hickman going to go for Indecisive here? Indecisive having a really excellent race at the moment in the Alpine. Oh, I thought he was very late on the brakes there into turn 1, and he was. He went a bit deep. And Hickman might be able to have a go. We can have a good run through here. No, I think it's just going to be good enough for the time being. I think Indecisive Wheelnut still doing a great job to hold off Kamababo in 2nd place for the time being. Hickman, again, all over the back of that Alpine.
Yeah, he is, and getting very frustrated behind the back of him. Theo Hitman just wants to get through, tried to pull the gap, or tried to close the gap that Poop Cannon currently has over these two drivers. 13 seconds, that's going up and up. It seems to be going up 2 seconds every lap. We've got battles coming up further in the field as well. Passing now within a second of Cambaba, who's just 6 tenths adrift of Wheelnut. We've got Poop Cannon 5 tenths behind Chris Johnson as Theo Hitman continues to try and close on the Mackie. But let's go with the battle for 6th and 7th. Chris Johnson and Magic Poop Cannon, who fought over the title battle 2 seasons ago. In fact, both fought for it last season as well. Chris Johnson for now holding on, and Parson dives into the pits.
Well,
wow,
that's an interesting one. I don't know if he's got damage. Surely he has not, because he looked like he was doing perfectly decent enough.
Why would you pit down? There's no benefit, surely.
Well, I don't know. What? Maybe they're struggling with tyres a bit more than we expected. He puts another set of Vinters on, and I tell you what, actually, I mean, he has such a big gap to Indecisive in 8th place.
Not a bad show.
Is he going to get out the pit lane ahead of Indecisive here? I think he will. And
yeah.
He might actually have a few nice laps in clean air. I mean, I still don't really think it was worth it. But I suppose if those tyres drop off towards the end, he's in a good position.
Dan the man, do you know the feeling when you're lying in bed, face up, someone gets a bottle of water, pours it all over your face, and you're like, and you're getting drowned? Well, that's what Cambabo must be feeling right now, because he's in 3rd without a helmet here in Spain. It's chucking it down. But that's not stopping him having a great time. I'm surprised he can see Dan, to be honest.
I totally forgot that he wasn't wearing the helmet, of course, yeah. Is he not getting all the rain in his eyes at the moment? But he's doing a good job to hold on to 3rd place. And in fact, he has dropped back slightly from Wheelnut now. Maybe just having to take a breather from all the spray. Will he come back at him again in a moment? We will see, as Wet Lemons extends his lead to nearly 5 seconds now. Another fastest lap for Wet Lemons. His pace in the rain is ridiculous. We saw it last season as well. It's so good. Pip Cannon runs wide the final chicane there and gets a 3-second time penalty because of it.
We've got a good scrap here. Further back.
Cambabo for 2nd place.
Oh.
He's got to run on round the outside. If he can make this move, it'd be brilliant. But no, he does not. And Wheelnut just about holds on.
Wow, well, Wheelnut then just about holding on to P2, looking for a 2nd consecutive podium finish, having finished 2nd in Portugal. But I was going to say, it's a further battle going on with by Jacko and M-Shep, almighty cars fighting for 12th downwards here. These drivers haven't made stops earlier in the race, all fighting for position. Rebel Kim struggling out there. Jacko goes wide, having to avoid Kim, who went very slow through that section of corners, and M-Shep taps the back of Jacko. Very clumsy from the Englishman. He's now going to have damage for the rest of this race, not what he needed, and Jacko will surely try and get Kim this time round. Blair Grills is going to be all over the back of Mr. John, trying to work his way back through the field. 12th position is what these two are fighting over. Will Blair Grills go for it up the inside into turn 1, thinks about it. Just about manages to get out of it. Mr. John, very smart defending, keeps hold of the position for now, and this is going to put him under pressure from Cena, who joins the back of this fight, and Jacko is ahead of Rebel Kim and about to go, I think, to join this trio, if this trio do indeed start to hold each other up.
Yeah, so Parson then on those pressed tyres, just noticed he's just gone purple in the middle sector, so he is flying, and he may well take the fastest lap away from Wet Lemons at this moment, but I think Bazza is closing on Hickman. Hickman's gone a bit wide here, and he's off the track completely. Is Bazza going to go through? Yes, he does.
Not a race to remember for Theo Hitman, the reigning champion, completely different league to Theo this season, and Theo then really struggling so far this season. Cowababo is now still just 4 tenths behind Wheelnut. Jimmy's going to get him down, still a long way to go in this race.
I'm not sure. I mean, Wheelnut's defensive driving has been so good in this race, but I think you would say Cowababo probably would have enough in the end to make the move. But I mean, the more wet races we have in the season, the better it is for Wet Lemons, and the worse it is for Hickman, really, pretty much based on last season. That would be how I would sum that one up. And we've had 2 wet races already this season, and we're going to get one in Portimao as well, and the Wet Lemons will be loving every single moment of it. Owen having a great race, by the way. He's got a penalty, but in 4th place. So brilliant stuff for him at the moment.
Yes, even with the penalty he's got at the moment, he would still remain ahead of Chris Johnson, because Chris is just outside that 3-second window he needs to be to gain the place on it. And Chris still defending from Poop Cannon. Maybe his concentration is on behind rather than in front, despite Poop Cannon having that penalty himself too. But Apostle is going for the fastest lap. He's got a tougher race now, because Wet Lemons goes even quicker at 1:27.1. He's pulling further and further clear. Still 5 laps to go, yet he's still pushing in this race. And there's yellow flag further back. Looks like maybe Jacko Bazza. Oh no, Bazza!
and he's going to fall down the order now, but there's a bit of a gap before Mick Schumacher turns up, and he's going to get away with it.
He's really struggling.
He's really struggling with the rears, and actually...
He has lost the place.
Marco just drives through, although Bazza is going to take him straight back. This could be his slowest overtake ever. No, he does not for the time being.
His
He's
train.
going to be really struggling with those tyres.
Behind Mr. John, who's doing an excellent job of defending at the moment in 12th, is Cena, Blair Grills, Jacko and Kim all over the bag of him. This quartet of cars fighting for the final points positions in this race. There's still 5 and a bit laps to go. Wheel not looking like he's not going to quite get the lead here from Wet Lemons. Cavamo looking very like a possible threat for that second place, but Maya Quemby surely too far back to try and get himself on the podium. But here comes Cena for one more attempt on Mr. John round the outside of turn 1 this time. Tried the inside last time and not quite able to do it. Unfortunately, the graphics were filling our screen there as Cena attempted to go through on Mr. John, who now has Blair Grills all over the back of him. The Aston Martin man trying to get involved in this fight and may well get him on the next corner.
Yeah, he's going to go for into turn 4. Late on the brakes, Blair Grills there, but he's made the move. But Cena's hanging it round the outside, and he's not giving up. And he's deploys the DRS very early, considering you're going through a corner in the rain there. But it's helped him, and he maintains 13th just. Blair Grills still all over him, and Jacko will also be watching these guys fighting for just minor points now, but at least they are points nonetheless. And the Joe Sayer points scoring system.
All hail the Joe Sayer point system. All hail Bazza, who's trying to get through on Mick Schumacher. Just 2/10 the difference, but the Alfa Romeo man makes it very easy. Up the inside he goes, and back inside the top 10. Magic Poop Cannon just 3/10 adrift of Chris Johnson, who's holding on to a top 5 place for now. It could be 4th if he can find a second on Maya Quembu, who of course carries a time penalty for corner cutting earlier on in this race. There's still 4.5 laps to go. It seems like Wet Lemons is in a race of his own. 9 seconds clear of anyone else as the 2 behind try to scrap, and Poop Cannon again very close. Maybe getting frustrated now to be stuck behind Chris Johnson for so long in this race.
Jacko! Oh my god, Jacko at the final corner, nearly hitting the pit wall there, nearly losing it. I don't know how he saved that. I hope he clips that one up, because he's done very well to save that. And Hickman's in the pit lane, and he's actually changed his front wing, so disastrous for his now he's down in 15th.
Yeah, it seems Theo lost it in the final sector. Just the back end went out on him, turned left, off into the wall, and a new front wing means he's now out of the points completely and may be behind M. Shep. How embarrassing. The photographer may well get in front of him, but M. Shep's just about outside that place for now. But Jacko back into the points as this trio continue to scrap. Mr. John holding on to what is now 11th place ahead of Cena, Blair Grills and Jacko. Cena getting very frustrated, but Mr. John's had an excellent J so far defending this position. Cena just can't quite find the room to get through, but Kawababo is 2/10 behind. Wheelnut is getting closer and closer to go into turn 1. Surely this is the best chance. It's the closest Kawababo's been, and oh no! Wheelnut! He's round, and Owens into the podium.
Got a wheel on that curb, got a wheel on that inside curve at turn 2, and goes to 4th to 5th. Is Poop Cannon going to go? Did Poop Cannon touch him there?
No, he had to lift off, because unfortunately for him, Wheelnut ghost or unghosted just as he came up to the back end. So Poop Cannon had to lift, and that's now stopped his hold of Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson up into 4th. As I said, if he can find 1 more second, he's within 3 seconds of Owen and will snatch the podium place. But what a return this would be for Owen Cranby. Former 2-time champion, now back into the podium places. What a drive.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant drive by Owen, and surely the driver of this race at the moment. We've got a yellow flag, and
it's like Kim.
Yeah, it was Kim. I seen the Ferrari on the map there and thought, oh my goodness me, but no, it's Cena and Mr. John going side by side into turn 1 here.
Lovely move from Cena around the outside, and Blair Grills trying to get through on John, runs out of room on the inside. He'll now try the next time around, but Cena seems to have got the place Mr. John too far back to try and fight back possibly. Up the inside goes Blair Grills, but he's not going to get it done there. Mr. John's flies to it, keeps hold of that P12. These 2 drivers fighting for what is P12 and P13, 2 and 3 points respectively. Jacko looking to get involved too, and he knows he doesn't have a penalty, whereas Blair Grills does, so will gain that place. Blair Grills needs to clear John as soon as possible and try to pull the gap, and Theo Hitman's chances of points are looking even slimmer now. He's 12 seconds adrift of Jacko. Unless any of these drivers make a mistake, the reigning champion is not going to score points here in Spain.
Beginning to look like that decision by Parsons to pit has really backfired, because he's essentially thrown away a podium now with Wheelnut having that spin. He's down in 7th place, so I'm not sure what Wet Lemons will think of that when in the debrief, when looking at the constructors, because that's a podium thrown away potentially there by Parsons. But still 2 laps to go, could still have some sort of crazy incident in the closing stages as Cena right on the back of Marco. Literally pushing him through the corner.
Yeah, and I said Owen's going to start to find more and more pace as the evening goes on, and he's taking chunks of time out of Canada for P2. Now just 1.3 seconds. Shame he's got that time penalty, but Mick Schumacher, well, he's making it very clear he does not want Senna coming through for that top 10 place. He wants that point, does the Haas driver.
Mick Schumacher doing the crazy defending, but wet lemons at the front in the Ferrari, doing his best Schumacher 1996 Spain impression, dominating as Senna goes through on Mick Schumacher there for 10th place.
Mick Schumacher then falls down to 11th, now under threat from Mr. John, and Mick goes very wide. That allows John through into 11th. Good move from the Red Bull man. Now can Blair Grills get ahead? Oh, it's going to be close round the outside. They're so close, these drivers. They've been so close all race. Seems like there's a magnet on the back of each car keeping them together. But here comes Blair Grills side by side with Mick Schumacher and through into P12. And Mick Schumacher's gone from what was 10th down to 13th, and that may well become 14th if Jacko can get closer in these next couple of corners. But it's looking good for Mr. John to get another higher up position as Parser picks up a time penalty himself and pits again.
Don't know what Parser is playing at. It's going to elevate Indecisive into 7th place, it looks like. I can certainly say that. I don't know, he might come out just ahead of Bazar.
Oh, he's out. He's done. DNF. Oh, he's done. He's finished. Well, he's had enough. Well, Parser had to... Yeah, maybe he's had to leave for some reason. Only 2 laps to go in this race. He's going to score no points. So that promotes everyone. In fact, that's going to promote Theo back into the points in this race. So not a completely pointless race here in Spain for him.
There's Blake Hills down on the back of Mr. John. And he's going to have a run for, well, what will now be 10th place. It's looking like an incredibly easy move. And in fact, it's not an easy move because John suddenly pulled away and he's actually hit the back of him. And Blake Hills has picked up damage. And in fact, he's totally ruined his race. Yeah,
Blair Grills just seems to miss his braking point at the back of the Red Bull man, and that's going to drop him completely out of this race. Theo Hitman will gain another point and not find himself completely pointless here today. He's going to get 2 at least, and maybe more if he can close up on Mick Schumacher, who's picked up a few penalties in this race himself. As Blair Grills, look how much he's struggling without that front wing. In fact, the front wing's largely there, but the end plate unfortunately missing, and the Williams of Theo will be up very soon to pass him for P13.
So, we've got a Ferrari, it's Parser, of course, DNF, and so Chris Johnson has a penalty, doesn't he? So, and Wheelnut is closing 1 second behind Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson's going to lose. He's going to go down to 5th place here. I think he might go down to 6th as well because Poop Cannon is right there. So Chris Johnson may well finish down in 6th place here.
We've also got Jacko trying to get through on Mr. John for a top 10 finish. Of course, Jacko had the spin earlier on, which sort of ruined his race. A shame because, again, he qualified so well, so high up. P2 it was in both sessions, but both races he's found himself much further down. Recovered to 5th in Portugal, but at the moment he's just trying to get himself inside of that top 10 and try and get clear of Mr. John. Poop Cannon 9/10 adrift of Wheelnut. Wheelnut 8/10 adrift of Chris Johnson, and Owen is just 8/10 behind Cannababo. He may well get him on this final lap. We'll have to cut to Levens very shortly because he's about to win this race. He's only a few corners away, but here comes Jacko on Mr. John into turn 1. Which side is he going to go? He goes for the outside. Can the Rebel man defend it? Jacko round the outside. This will be some move if he can make it stick. Brilliant racing between these two, and they're still side by side. Well, Emmett is going to win further back, but we've got to stick with this because this is two former race winning drivers showing the rest how it's done. Great to see Jacko and John going side by side. There's so much respect on and off the track between these two, and Mr. John takes back that P10 from Jacko, but Jacko's getting closer and closer. He wants that position. Cannababo has finished 2nd in this race. Owen does get that podium. What a result it is for him. Chris Johnson will get 4th but lose it to Wheelnut because of a time penalty. Mr. John, can he hold on to the top 10 finish, or is Jacko going to snatch it from him in these closing moments? We're seeing a great scrap here at the very end of this race. Two heavyweights of the league fighting for what is a top 10 finish. Can Jacko take it? He's closer. Round the outside, it comes the inside, late braking, and the Alfa Romeo man tries to get through, but John holds it round the outside, and still they're side by side, and Jacko this time is going to take the place, but Mr. John's going to go back up the inside, is he? Not quite, the room's still there. Jacko runs wide, and Mr. John's back through again. How many times did he switch positions? And there's Jacko going off circuit, almost losing the back end of that car, and Mr. John's having to defend, which is going to allow Jacko to have another run into the final corner. Mr. John tries to force them wide. They're side by side around this final corner, but Mr. John's going to take it, is he? He's going to take P10 unless Jacko can drag him to the line. Mr. John does it. He takes 10. What a race. What a battle.
Amazing. What an amazing battle by those guys on the final lap. I thought Jacko was heading for the wall there, but he nearly actually got 10th place in the end. Mr. John just holding them off. fantastic battle, and Blair Grills, he pitted on that penultimate lap, but didn't get lapped, so he's actually still on the track at the moment, still needs to complete his race. But what a dominant drive by Wet Lemons. We didn't see much of him for the second half of the race, but he just showing off by the end. He set the fastest lap on the last lap as well. Absolutely fantastic drive, and he of course will be hoping for more wet races in the season. Where Gills comes across the line to take the final spot.
Wow. Wet Lemons takes a third win on the bounce. He's our new championship leader and looking like a serious threat for taking the title. And once again, it's Maya Quemby who takes the Driver of the Day award, back on the podium after a few years absence. But what a drive it was from Maya Quemby. What a drive it was from Cab Abbott to take P2. But the man on top here in the rain in Spain, it is Wet Lemons. What a season this man's having. It's another victory, and I think we're going to see this a few more times this season, Dan.
Absolutely, especially if we get wet races as well. So fantastic result for Wet Lemons in the Ferrari, and a brilliant night to racing really. And considering we had so much drivers having so many problems in qualifying, they've done very, very well in the race. I think we only had one DNF and a couple of incidents along the way, but that is to be expected in the rain. But no major dramas, and I think we've actually got through tonight without having a single virtual or real safety car in either race, which is quite incredible. So fair play to all the drivers. Some highly entertaining racing as well.
Yeah, so Wet Lemons then taking 51 points from tonight. 2 race wins and a fastest lap. Wilnut has a good night overall despite his spin in Spain. He'll be gutted with that one. We've got Canada and Monaco to come next week. Both tracks very contrasting in Monaco. Dan, anything can happen in Monaco.
Yeah, 2 iconic circuits, two fantastic circuits, and that should be another absolutely thrilling weekend. As you say, Monaco, well, yeah, anything can happen at Monaco. It's just totally unpredictable. Nobody really will know what to expect until we get there and try and get the qualifying lap in, which of course is famously so difficult. But yeah, fantastic race, fantastic 2 races tonight in Spain and Portugal, and Wet Lemons will come away feeling very, very happy and comfortable about his current championship lead.
Well, I've very much enjoyed being in the commentary box with you, Ted, with you today, Dan. Yeah, who will it be next week? It could be Roy, of course, everyone's favourite Irishman, could be back next week. He's on strike today because I was trying to think of a joke, but I can't think of one. I backfired there. Of course, Ginger Andy not here. TGB's very own anti-vaxxer will not be flying out to Monaco or Canada for anti-vax reasons. So it could be anyone. It could be me, could be Roy, could be Andy, could be Dan again, could be Owen. We'll have to wait and find out. But what a night it's been here in TGB2 once again. As I said, it's Canada and Monaco next week. So from me and Dan, it's good night, and we'll see you next week.